Welcome, all fellow wannabes. Welcome to the show. You are listening to the Wannabe Critic podcast. I am one of your hosts, Gabriel Fast, and joining me are my three brothers in crime. We don't commit crimes. We just, we talk into a microphone and pretend to be cool. We got Caleb Henley, Mikey Collins, and Rex Tucker. Gentlemen, how are we feeling tonight?
Doing good, man. Ready to talk about some stuff.
Some stuff. Love it. Mikey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Fantastic. Wonderful. Grand.
Great. Grand. Wonderful. And Rex, is this the first show that we've literally just had the four of us on for you?
Yeah, this is like my first one.
Okay. Well, welcome. We're excited. We were just talking off mic there for a minute. I was like, I feel like Rex has been the glue that we've missed. You know what I mean? And I'm super stoked to have you on the show. I feel like the Midnight Run has been better than I even thought it was going to be. So there we go. And people seem to like it.
Thanks.
As you can tell by the title, ladies and gentlemen, we are reviewing Star Wars Rebels, which if you are keeping up, then you would know that we just finished up Clone Wars. So it's gotten to be about that time we review the next animated series because we just can't get enough of the animated Star Wars, right, guys? You're just so stoked to start another animated show.
Yeah, very.
Good. Mikey, I do have to ask, because you were the one that was always naysaying in the other episodes. Do you like Rebels more than you like Clone Wars?
Yeah, hands down.
Okay, good. Rex, what you did? We kind of go around the room and say, if we like this thing or not. Are you excited to start Rebels? And you never went through Clone Wars with us, but were you excited to start Rebels with us?
No, so I've watched part of Clone Wars, so I did get into that a little bit a while back, but I'm liking Rebels so far.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Good to know. Well, I think, we kind of just alluded to it a little bit. This is recorded beforehand, so we're not going to get into what we've been up to and all that jazz because you probably heard it in a different episode. But we are going to get into the main meat of the show, which is reviewing this. And we're going to try something a little bit different this time. Caleb, would you mind giving us, just kind of a brief, however long synopsis of what exactly we're getting ourselves into with Rebels Season 1, and then we'll just go from there.
All right. Well, guys, bear with me. This is my first time ever doing this, so if I suck at it, I apologize. But
don't mess up.
All right. So, on the planet Lothal, after the fall of the Republic, the Empire reigns supreme, and a young man by the name of Ezra Bridger lives by himself as basically an orphan after his parents have disappeared. And he has survived for, I think, 8 years by himself on Lothal, basically trying to do whatever he needs to do in order to survive, being a kind of a street rat type person. When one day he is going and trying to get some food, and he runs into a motley crew of rebels that are basically stealing things from the Empire, and he tries to steal something from them and kind of gets into their crew, just kind of joins in somehow. They kind of take him in, and he's very much just trying to figure out what's going on. And then they have many different run-ins with the Empire on Lothal and elsewhere, along with other run-ins with different pirates and bounty hunters and all sorts of other people. And yeah, it's basically that. In short, I would say it's basically Firefly, but with Star Wars characters. So if you like that, you'll probably like this. Dude,
I was watching the season and I was thinking to myself, this feels so much like Firefly. The pilot, oh crap, what was her name? The Twi'lek?
Laura?
Yeah.
Hera.
Yeah. Just the way that she would do things. I was like, she reminds me so much of, Wash's wife. Can't remember what her name is. I've been bad with names lately, but I for sure got Firefly vibes from that. But that was good. Good job on the synopsis. Like that. It's like you've been doing it your entire life. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I was really good at the beginning, and then it fell flat very much towards the middle and end. But it's fine.
It's okay. I think you wrapped it up pretty nicely. But
at least you're honest.
Yeah. Thank you, Rex. That's good. So there's no doubt, quite a bit of surprises that I think within this. And I'm just going to kind of say, for me, like, let's just get right into it. For me, this is, I don't want to say it's better than it has any business being, But this first season of Star Wars Rebels is way better than it has any business being, honestly.
No, it's very true.
It feels like it just, with Clone Wars, it always just felt kind of forced, you know? And this just fits in so naturally. Like, it just fits. I definitely buy that this thing is happening, right before the movies that we come to know and love are happening. Like, I buy that it fits into that period of time. So let's just kind of go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, what'd you say, Rex? Go for it.
I was just gonna say that, like everyone I've heard about Rebels from, they always say like, oh, it gets good after the first season, or you can get through it. But I was, I was surprised. I really liked the first season.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it was like, yeah, there was a level of cheese and a level of like unpolish in a way. You know what I mean? But this is way better than the first two seasons of Clone Wars, and it's consolidated into 14 episodes or 15 episodes or whatever. Like, it does a way better job of actually telling us a story, like something that matters and something that's on point with what it's trying to teach us. We don't have to piece together all these things, and it's like this thing that they did over here doesn't even matter really, or it doesn't even connect to the main thread of the story, whereas everything kind of comes back, like little things like the TIE fighter, like the TIE fighter that they stole, and then it comes back towards the end of the season and stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, like that level of continuity, I think, is something that was really missing with the Clone Wars. What do you guys think?
No, yeah, I absolutely agree. I think they very much had a more of a plan for what they wanted to do with this, especially since this all stayed, I think, within one studio. I mean, they came out with this after Disney had bought Star Wars from Lucas. So I think that allowed them to kind of have a better idea of what they wanted to do. And yeah, it just all fits in so nicely. It's kind of like you have this gap in between when the Empire takes over and Revenge of the Sith, in between kind of Rogue One, of things that we haven't really quite seen. Yeah, so I think that this series just does a really good job of basically world building within a time period where we kind of know what's going on, but we don't know completely. You have this between Revenge of the Sith and basically Rogue One, where they're able to just completely build this world. And I think it is really cool because I think that they knew what they wanted to do, because was all kept within one studio for the entire time that they were making the series. It wasn't jumping around on different networks or switching between, who owned the rights to Star Wars. It was very set in what it wanted to be. And I think that kind of allowed them to know exactly what they wanted to do and make things more concise. But I think it just does an awesome job of getting you to buy into the characters, because each one of them has a role. And again, I can't not watch this without the parallels to Firefly. I really can't, because it's just as you're attached to the characters in that show, you're attached to the characters in this show. And then just the world building within Star Wars, where you already know so much of what is the deal, but it does it in such another way, such a better way. And, it's in a bigger way, if that makes any sense. And then also connecting it back in with characters that you already know. I'm not going to spoil it now, but it's really cool how it does that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
I was just saying, like, it's hard to compare with Clone Wars. You're kind of just thrown into the middle of a story. It's something that's already happening, and they're trying to catch you up really quick. So with this, it's a fresh story, and you don't have to really go through all that. You're introduced to the characters for the first time, so you make like new connections, and it feels really fresh.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we agreed, earlier that some of the best parts of, or literally the best part of the Clone Wars is Ahsoka, who is like a new part of the Star Wars universe. And like, for me, the only reason I really ended up enjoying Clone Wars as much as I did was because Ahsoka played such a key role. And now we have that exact same energy being brought to the table with Ezra. And it's like, it's a fresh start, but you have the nuance of the old school trilogy and like the old school Star Wars that we come to know and love, like kind of the proper like empire, imperial type vibes, with all the the guards and Tarkin and all that stuff. What'd you say, Rex? Go for it.
That can't aim.
Yeah, exactly. Like it feels more in touch with what Star Wars really was. And honestly, I feel like that's mostly because of Dave Filoni's directing.
Yeah. Yep.
Dave Filoni, right hand to Lucas, basically, and that man. I don't know if you guys have ever watched him talk about anything Star Wars related in interviews. That man knows Star Wars and loves Star Wars. Like that man lives and breathes Star Wars. It's incredible to me. So it's no doubt that this series was going to end up coming off genuine. So, Caleb, I'm sorry, I saw out of the corner of my eye. Did you have like your hand up or something?
No.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, don't you ever do that around here. You just step on my toes. All right. I think let's do this. Do you have a favorite episode? Does anyone have a favorite episode?
Ooh. Man, that's a tough one.
I didn't really think about favorite episodes because
Yeah.
it's like one, continuous storyline.
I mean, sorry, Rex. I mean, I was just gonna say I think the last episode's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably like the last two.
Yeah, I think so too. But I was kind of looking for what you said, Rex. Like, to me, I was, I had this side by side. I was grinding Destiny bounties and I was watching this show as I was doing it. And it felt into that thing for me where I was like, I was excited to watch the next episode. Whereas in Clone Wars, I was kind of just like, here we go again. Like I still have so much to watch. But like with this show, it made me excited to see what was happening next, especially, and this is, going to be kind of spoiler territory, especially whenever Ezra starts kind of learning the Force and like Kanan is teaching him and you kind of get an idea of what Kanan, whenever you see the Inquisitor and the Inquisitor starts coming up and stuff like that. And you're invested in what's going to happen. And it kind of blows me away how they managed to take the same energy from A New Hope and like kind of the defeated feeling a little bit from Empire Strikes Back, and also the defeated feeling in A New Hope, like when Obi-Wan Kenobi dies. But they managed to like capture that in a couple of these episodes, like especially whenever Kanan was taken, and he had to, basically surrender. I was like, I felt that. And it was kind of strange because I couldn't remember a time other than the last season where Clone Wars ever made me feel that way. And again, like I'm not trying to like make this into a Clone Wars versus Rebels discussion, but it's kind of hard not to. What do you guys think?
No, I think so. Too. Like, I think that it's just so much easier to watch. I don't know why, but it is. It's just so much easier to watch. And I don't know, saying that it's not repetitive probably isn't super accurate, but it just doesn't feel nearly as repetitive and bogged down and as and slow as Clone Wars. Like Clone Wars is just, it can get so slow at times, and you can definitely see the episodes that are filler, but I have a hard time sometimes going through, like I'm scrolling through the season 1 episodes of Rebels. I'm like, I can't necessarily like put a finger on one episode that is complete filler. Like you have that episode where they go and try to like find Luminara, which was an awesome episode. The one where they're like the Path of the Jedi one, where they're going to the Jedi Temple, and basically they see Ezra gets a vision with Yoda, which is awesome. Or even the one where like Lando Calrissian is there. It's like those are all like great episodes, and I wouldn't even say that one of them is like my favorite episode. It's just I think all of it is so done so well that's just not, you don't feel so bogged down by any of it.
Well, and there's two things that come to mind. Mikey, you got something to say? You look like you were sipping on some scissor or something over there. You got something you got to say?
Well, I mean, that's my biggest issue. Like Caleb was saying, I don't want to make this a Clone Wars versus Rebels thing, but that was my biggest issue because I watched Rebels before I watched Clone Wars all the way through. And Rebels immediately sucked me in because all of those high points that Caleb just said to me, you didn't reach one of those high points till like season 3 of Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, like, that's just why I enjoy it so much more, because you can tell they put effort into this. And yes, I think the first couple seasons of Clone Wars was all George Lucas, basically, right? Do I remember that right? For the most part.
I mean, he was executive director the entire time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And
but-
then, well, you can tell though. I mean, I love George Lucas, but not as a director.
Well
as a
said.
story creator, like I love him as that. But
Right.
it's you can tell the love based off this first season that is put into this show. It's so obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I just, you don't question two things. Here's two things that I identified that made me, I think, for me, this is the two things that make me way more invested in this show. Like, I actually, after I finished the first season, I was like, well, frick, I'm just going to keep watching. And I only watched a couple more episodes because me and Rex were supposed to record Sam Jack, but it didn't happen. So I had to switch over, but that's neither here nor there. There's two things for me that really make this show stand out. One, you never once question its authenticity, ever. Lando Calrissian's here? Wow. Feels like it. Like, it feels like Lando. The search for Luminara, like all that stuff. You feel defeated when you realize what's actually going on. And, like, it makes the Inquisitor that much more interesting, but also scary.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, kind of like what Caleb was saying, on Lothal, it is so concise. You stay in one place. And I think that's where Clone Wars really lacked, is we're having to keep up with all these different planets' democracy, all this different, politics, having to keep up with all these different planets and what they're going through and like what's going on. And like some episodes from certain seasons talk to other episodes and yada, 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 all this back and forth. It's too much to keep track of. I got my, in this show, you got your 5 characters that are on the same planet working together in the same way, very much in the same way like Firefly. And I love that you made that comparison. It's frustrating because Clone Wars was something that I really wanted to love. Oh, I couldn't see Rex. Please go for it.
Oh, that was
For Mikey. I'm looking at the camera. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the camera and like I'm going back and forth. Go for it. Sorry.
No, I would just, as soon as you started talking, something popped in my head. You always hear George Lucas say, Star Wars is for kids. It's a kid's show. Clone Wars is not a kid's show.
Nope.
This could definitely pass as a kid. It's simple. It's concise. Just like you were saying, I'm like, this is more like what George Lucas speaks about Star Wars being. And
it feels like the original trilogy.
Yeah, it's enjoyable, and you're never confused. You know what's going on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's honestly only one part of this show that I think is not super kid friendly, and it's when they bring the Tarkin brings in those two those two officers that like haven't been able to capture the rebels, and the Inquisitor comes up behind them and lightsabers them in the head, but it doesn't like show it, like it's not like gruesome, but it's just like at the same time, like Clone Wars is doing that type of crap all the time, like
breaking necks.
They're snapping necks in season 1. They're doing.
Oh yeah, like Ahsoka like decapitated like 10 guys in like one like move.
Yeah. Well said. And that's really good. And I think that's a good segue. We try and keep these. We've done it before, like where we draw these episodes out, and there's not really a reason to. Like, this is just it's fun to talk about these things and like what we appreciate, but there's no reason to force stuff into it. So, does anyone have any like significantly good things they want to say about it before we move on to some things that we don't like about it?
I'll say that it just feels it feels like Star Wars. You kind of touched on that. Like, it just feels immediately that you're in like the original trilogy Star Wars. You get that feeling, and they use the same music from the movies and stuff, so it really gets you there. If you're comparing to Clone Wars, which is kind of doesn't do that at all.
Yeah, well said.
I completely agree. It gives me the original trilogy vibes too, because it's like going back, it's simple, it's a straightforward story, and it's so good.
More of the same. Just do what people want. Like, they want more of the same.
Right?
Caleb?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Kanan Jarrus is, like, one of my favorite Star Wars characters. Like, I love the idea of seeing this conflicted character, and I think this is the first time that you see that not all of the Jedi that survived Order 66 were necessarily like masters, like Obi-Wan or Yoda, where they're like, you know, on the Jedi Council. Like Kanan was like a Padawan basically when this happened, or not, or at the very like most like just became a Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
And you see that, like, it's very apparent in the way that he deals with Ezra, that he's very inexperienced as a Jedi. Like, he's a Jedi and he can use the Force, and that's a huge advantage to him. But he doesn't have necessarily the same level of skill or the way of speaking or the way of teaching that a Jedi master would. So seeing him and then him trying to take on a Padawan and recognizing that, oh man, Ezra's special, I need to be able to help him and train him. And his conflict of like how he can do it and do it to the best of his ability, while Ezra is not by any means the best student either. It's really interesting to see his like kind of struggle, and that idea like he was going to go and pawn Ezra off on Luminara because he knew that Luminara would do so much better than he would. Was like that was awesome. And then that realization, like, crap, I got to do this myself. But I love his character, and you see him grow throughout this entire series. But even in this first season, where he sacrifices himself for the crew and he's resisting the Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor is shown to be more powerful than he is for basically the majority of the season.
Yeah.
But you're seeing him kind of grow just as much as you're seeing Ezra grow as well.
Yeah, and you know, the Yoda episode, they touch on that a little bit because, you know, Ezra's getting direction from there was like some dual symmetry going on. Kanan's getting direction from Yoda, you know, and the way Yoda is talking to him, you very much surmise like, oh, Kanan isn't like what you were saying, Caleb. He's not full-fledged Jedi Knight. Like, he's got a lot of work to do still. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Yoda like guiding Ezra as well whenever he's in that cave? He's talking to him at the same time. So like Yoda's teaching both of them at the same time. Which I thought was super duper interesting. So yeah, I love what you're saying, Caleb. Like, how is Kanan going to teach this kid how to be a Jedi whenever he's not even a fully fledged, not, you know, master himself? And you know, Yoda even makes fun of him. He's like, "Oh, a master now, are you?" Like, you know, kind of giving him a hard time. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, this freaking show is amazing. Like, it just, it had my interest beforehand, but whenever they did that, it made me.
As soon as I heard Yoda's voice, I was like, "Oh yeah."
It made me care whenever I got to that episode. I was like, okay, like I'm invested now. Like, I have to watch this whole thing. So,
The growth was pretty cool. Like, all the characters seem to grow a little bit, but Ezra has a lot of character growth. I found he was kind of annoying in the beginning.
yeah,
Like, you know,
very Luke
kind of
Skywalker-esque, honestly, like whiny and like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good comparison.
like it very much reminded me of like Luke Skywalker in another light.
I want to go to Tashi Station with the power converters.
Yeah, exactly. But
it made sense because he like doesn't have any parents, you know.
yeah, absolutely.
Free
And
draft.
very much like an array type vein as well. You know what I mean? Like, but whenever the only difference is whenever Ezra is confronting the Rodan or whatever, and he's like, dude, like, you're a coward, like, you're the reason my parents, you know, are gone, yada yada yada, all that stuff. That was a really cool character moment for him, and I can't wait to see where he goes. I'm right there with you, Rex. He's an awesome character. So well done. What do you guys say we kind of filter into some negatives? I don't think there's a lot there personally. Mine are borderline nitpicks. So what do you say we just kind of go that way? Caleb, you want to kick us off? Do you have anything negative to say?
Yeah, this is going to be kind of a weird negative. The first time I ever watched the series, I would always end up getting annoyed by Zeb. And I always viewed Zeb as being a character that was there specifically just for children to, you know, draw them in. But then, look, I know I've said this multiple times already on this podcast. After watching Firefly and just realizing that he's a version of Jane, and I'm just like, okay, Zeb's fine now. Like, it's fine. Like, he's just my favorite character from Firefly, so it's fine. Like, I don't care anymore. So, I don't know. There's really not a whole lot here for me to pick apart. Again, sometimes it does feel like a kid's show in some ways, but I can't necessarily super fault it for that.
Well said. Mikey, you got anything negative to say about this?
I mean, to be honest, not really. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff, if I had long enough, yeah, I'm sure I could find things. But I mean, I think it's a solid season. I really enjoy all the characters. I mean, the first episode of this series is one of my probably is my favorite episode, thinking about it, because it sucks you in immediately. You know, you're curious about every character that's on the screen, and that's, I don't know. This is probably my favorite Star Wars series, like one of their shows. I mean, I know we haven't finished Mando yet, and it's gonna be a while before we do, but I don't know. I don't really have anything negative to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a few negatives.
Yes,
knew
Rex,
it.
come in clutch.
Awesome. Here we go.
Yes.
I'm
I
being
kinda
replaced.
agree with- What'd you say?
He said I've been replaced.
I was just thinking, I felt the same way about Zeb kind of in the beginning. Like he's pretty annoying in the beginning, but some of the earlier episodes, they do feel a little boring, just a few. And I already mentioned that Ezra, he was kind of annoying, but it made sense. And then, but yeah, some of the episodes I felt were a little boring in the beginning. But then it like really picks up and gets more into, what they're trying to accomplish and everything, and the backstory behind all that. So it kind of makes up for it. And the Wookiees are pretty ugly.
Yeah, there is. I'm gonna piggyback off of
That's
that.
a good point, Rex. They look terrible.
They do, and some of the aesthetic in this show is a little off. It looks a little like college audio video productions. Like, it's still impressive, but it's still kind of like, okay, that's a little sloppy. It's kind of like, reminds me of Clone Wars season 1. I hate to.
I will say they do CGI like better than any anime CGI for sure.
Yeah, that's
It's
well said.
just kind of an odd art choice, I think.
Yeah, it's a little uncanny.
Because it's definitely
valley.
different. It's different than Clone Wars, but it's a weird creative choice.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I have nightmares of that little Chewbacca Wookiee. A little baby.
A little baby Wookiee. I don't have a lot to say negatively about this first season either, honestly.
There's not much, yeah.
My only negative, really, it's not really a Rebels problem as much as it is a Star Wars problem. I understand there needs to be more Sith, and like there needs to be more dark side users past the Clone Wars. I understand that. I'm so sick of them being like directly related to Darth Vader. Like, I don't know. It just feels like kind of like an old tired thing for me, honestly. Like, oh, of course Vader would do it. I don't know. But in the same way, how else would they do it? It can't be Vader. Like, Vader can't show up yet. They can't make that happen. But I don't know. It just feels off at first. I like the Inquisitor. He's cool. Like, I would say he's more like the Emperor than he is Vader for sure. And maybe he is, but he can't be directly tied to the Emperor, right? Because the Emperor freaking slaughtered Savage in Clone Wars. But shouldn't the Emperor be pissed that Vader's taken on it's a funny thing to me, and I haven't beaten Jedi Fallen Order. I don't know a lot of the lore, like, because I know the what's her face in Jedi Fallen Order, like, it's
Sister.
a girl. Yeah, what's her name?
She's one of the sisters.
Yeah, so
Well, yeah, there's like 10 or 11 Inquisitors. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
always
Bunch of
thought
them.
of them as
Very,
like
very many.
more like just like the Sith drones.
Mhm.
yeah. And I guess it is kind of like the olden days of the Sith, where they had like an army of Sith, to do their thing. But I don't know. It just feels. I wanted more, and maybe it'll be explained later. I don't know. I think I wanted more meat to kind of bite off of, to like kind of know why, or what's going on with the Inquisitors. If there is a bunch, why?
Dude, I just thought of this, but doesn't he look kind of like Snoke-ish?
He does look like Snoke, kind of. I didn't even think about that.
Spoilers, Rex. I'm kidding. They're not even
Quite
connected at all.
spoiling.
Yeah, but
Not even remotely.
It's a small thing. I don't know. I think I'm just kind of sick of the tiredness of it. You know what I mean? And it's a small nitpick, but I like I said, I do like the Inquisitor, but I want to know more about him. You know, like I want to know how does that all work now? Because like I said, go ahead.
What I would say is just, dude, you just have to finish Jedi Fallen Order, and I think it's going to give you a lot of insight to how that whole thing, how it works with the Inquisitors.
Dude,
yeah. If you just finish it,
Okay, I'm gonna play it now.
It's gonna like be like, oh, and then
yeah. And this show answers some of those questions too. This show, another comparison to Clone Wars. Sorry, but this show like has a return in dividends that Clone Wars I don't feel like ever really did. You know, or even as much. So like a lot of the questions that you have at the beginning of the show get answered.
Okay.
So, I mean,
well, that's comforting to know. And like I said, you know, I'll just have to finish that crappy Star Wars game at some point.
Oh my God.
No, I'm teasing.
I forgot my main negative point.
Let's hear it.
I felt that Ezra gets like, I feel like he gets his force powers a little too easily. That's just my opinion. And I think Star Wars does it a lot. They just kind of hand out force powers nowadays, but
yeah,
like you don't really see him having to work too hard for a force power other than like, oh, put him in a situation where it's life or death. And then he has the power all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think it's kind of true. I think it's hard for them to do it. But like, I think that it's not nearly as jarring as it is with like Rey. Like Rey gets them super, super quick.
And she's an ace pilot, and she can do anything she wants. Yeah.
Or even like,
and yet you love that series.
He's like Superman, Star Wars version.
Yeah. Or even if you take it to like Ahsoka, like, you know, we meet Ahsoka as like a Padawan, a fairly young Padawan in Clone Wars, but she's like basically a Jedi master in her abilities. Like she's better at being a Jedi than a lot of Jedi Knights. Well, so I don't know. It's just, I don't know. They have a hard time.
Don't they show her like failing in the beginning in Clone Wars?
I do.
I feel like it's less failing. I think it's less failing as like a Jedi in Force abilities and more failing as like a military like general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see both sides. I feel like there's more of an arc there with Ahsoka, though, in terms of power. Like, you see her visibly, like, she's always been kind of spry, but, like, you see her visibly getting better, especially by the end of the series. But, you know, it's... Go for it.
I don't know if this is in the show, but I feel like, you know how in Clone Wars they had to gather all the the super Force-sensitive kids and that were, like, definitely going to be Jedi someday? I feel like... that he could have very easily been one. And like, you know how they're like, it shows babies like using the Force and like levitating their like rattlers and whatnot. I feel like if he would have definitely been on that codex, you know? So
I think that's fair. That's kind of the vibes I got too. Like he's already Force sensitive a little bit.
Yeah, because they do that time and time again in Star Wars where they have like babies that are very Force sensitive and already can use their Force powers. Like so
Baby Yoda.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't feel like that's a negative in my point of view because that's all over Star Wars. But I can see how it can get old though. For sure.
I think it kind of falls in the same line with what I was saying. Like it's just kind of it's the same story we've heard before. Like it's another young guy that's Force sensitive, you know. But
I like how your original comment was like, just give me more of the same, and then your only negative is don't give me more of the same.
Yeah, it's you know, and you do get borderline. I would consider that a nitpick. Like, if you're gonna try and find something wrong with it, it's like, it's funny. We spent a decent amount of time talking about how good the show is, but then it's almost like as soon as one of us starts elaborating on something that we weren't crazy about, like, and one of us is like, yeah, what was up with that, and then you just kind of goes from there. So it's.
I would just like to see a little bit, you know, training before he just does all this stuff. But
yeah, he has a Force push. I had to play 5 freaking hours before I could get a Force push in Jedi Fallen Order, and that guy's full grown. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding.
It took you 5 hours.
Just put it on easy mode and finish the game, Lord.
I'm going to. You know what's sad? I think I actually might have it on easy right now. And I just So
did you guys like Chopper?
Yes, I loved Chopper.
I love Chopper so much.
He's hilarious. Like you can audibly hear the attitude in his voice. You didn't like him in the beginning?
No, I felt like he was a jerk droid. But he's kind of funny at the end.
Well, he grows on you really quick.
Have you watched through this yet, Rex? Is this your first time watching through it?
Yeah, first time.
Oh, okay, cool. So we got 2 that haven't seen it and 2 that have seen it.
Who hasn't seen it? Just me and Gabe?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I think one of my favorite things I ever saw was is like a statistic that like Chopper has like the 3rd most kills in Star Wars like lore.
His kill count is insanely
It's
high.
like him, like Luke
Really?
Skywalker, and like R2D2 or Darth Vader. It's like they're all at the top. It's
They're
incredible.
thousands. It's crazy.
Just thousands and thousands of people.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's awesome.
Well, you know who voices Chopper, don't you?
I forget.
It's Dave Filoni.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I love Chopper. I got a little enamel pin on my travel backpack over there.
course
He's,
you
know,
did.
he stays there. But is there anything else we wanted to add to this episode about what we liked or didn't like about Rebels season 1?
The lightsabers were dope.
Yeah.
Dude, his
Mhm.
lightsaber, Ezra's lightsaber with like the blaster on it. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
pretty dope.
Only
I
one
love-
only one in the Star Wars universe has a blaster on it. It's
yeah, it's
surprising.
pretty
Yep.
cool.
Man.
I loved seeing Kanan use it like that, like in lightsaber
Yeah.
combat with the Inquisitor. Like once he figured it out, and like Ezra's
is
like,
pretty
"Wait, I never."
cool.
Ezra's like, "I never thought to do that." Like it's so cool.
Yeah, I like that. Well, and they kind of were. That reminded me of a comic series. It's called Legacy,
Mm.
where it's like a descendant of Luke Skywalker, and he's a bounty hunter, but he knows how to use the Force. So he uses a blaster and a lightsaber. So it's just kind of cool. Like you don't really see Jedis ever really using blasters except for Obi-Wan,
Mhm.
But to see him kind of embrace it there, it just kind of it just adds like another layer to Kanan's character in terms of like, yeah, he's just trying to make it. Like he has a basic understanding, but he just kind of does what he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed this first season a lot. I
Like the Sith Inquisitor's lightsaber too.
yeah, it's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
sweet the way it spins. He's cool. He is really cool. I'm not
I
gonna
like
Yeah.
him.
I love that character.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes, and I can't wait. I'm assuming Darth Vader is probably going to kill him if he fails enough times, but we'll see what happens. But
Wait, did you watch the end of the season?
I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
was like, what?
Did you
Yeah,
watch the last episode?
yeah,
Well,
why?
I
What?
He falls off,
He-
into the exploding ship.
Oh yeah, that's right. But I mean, do you think he's going to die?
It is Star Wars though, so
Anyone can come back.
doesn't mean anything.
I mean, Darth Vader got his freaking legs and his arm, and like that Darth Vader should be dead. Like, come on, you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
doesn't-
but he's the chosen one, dude. He can't die.
Is he though?
Like the lightsabers,
Is he, though?
They
That's a
carterize
good point.
it. So it's
Yeah,
like,
Cartwright. That's true. We'll see. Yeah, I had completely forgotten that he went out in a blazing gunfire. But we'll
I do
see.
love at the end of that last episode too, Ahsoka showing up as Fulcrum, and then Vader showing up on Lothal.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, it's so cool.
I have a
It gets you pumped for season 2.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ahsoka felt off a little bit to me, maybe because she was just so intense in the last little bit of season 7 of Clone Wars, but I'm assuming that'll get better. So we'll see.
Yeah.
What happens.
I
But-
feel
I have
like
a question.
go for it. Rex.
Go ahead, Mikey.
No, you good.
Oh, I'm gonna totally change the subject, so go ahead.
Oh, I feel like they intentionally gave her like a jaded feel on purpose, which I kind of liked because she didn't just feel like the same old character. She's like, you can tell she's been through some stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
that
since
yeah,
Clone Wars.
that's maybe has some lingering PTSD for the past 15 years or however long, or 10
Yeah.
years, whatever. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good. That is good. What do you guys say we wrap this episode up and we rank this bad boy?
Oh, wait.
What was Rex's
Yeah,
question?
what was
Yeah.
Rex was gonna say?
No,
Do you
Rex,
guys
you don't get to
think-
talk at all.
Do you guys think Ahsoka is the most attractive alien in the Star Wars universe?
Oh, for the love of God.
Moving on.
Ranking the show. All right. Yes, I do. Here we go. I mean, I played enough Mass Effect. You know what I mean? Like,
What?
You're not alien?
Ahsoka. All I'm gonna say is Ahsoka belongs in Mass Effect. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Let's rank this thing. Caleb, why don't you go first?
I'm gonna give season 1 a solid 8.5. I don't think it's perfect, and again, I think it feels like a kid's show at times. I can see where Rex is coming from, or sometimes it feels boring, but I think since I compare this so much to Clone Wars, and this moves so much quicker than Clone Wars, I just don't get that feeling as much. But I could definitely see where someone could. But yeah,
Sorry.
Huh?
Never mind.
Yeah. Sorry. No, but I like it a lot. Yeah, 8.5. I think it's basically all good.
Don't you ever interrupt Caleb ever again.
I had to write it down.
Mikey's
sorry,
asserting,
8.5.
Mikey's asserting his authority. This was Mikey the past 6 months. Where we like, Mikey, don't you ever freaking speak up ever. Everyone hates you. All right. No. Okay. 8.5.
Can't believe Mikey has my back finally.
We're like,
It took
it's
a
like
year.
the new
Except
guy shows up at
never
the
met
office
you.
and you and Mikey look at each other and you're like, we must destroy him. You know, like that's you guys.
He's asserting his dominance.
Yeah.
this is like off topic, but like, Caleb, do you realize like the only time we've ever met, I think you've maybe said 2 words to me in real life, but we have talked so much on podcasts.
It is really weird. Like that one time I met you was in like a really terrible time where I hated
you were like,
Gabe and
God,
I hated
hate you
everyone.
guys."
I hated everybody associated with it, which was you.
Yeah.
And now we're talking like every couple of weeks.
I was like,
We're
God,
best
what's up with that
friends.
Caleb guy? I don't even know him.
Yeah. It was moving on. I
Sorry.
was like, and the answer was always, look, I don't know what his freaking problem is, but it probably has something to do with me marrying his sister. So we'll figure it out. But
Yeah, it
you
all
know,
worked out in time.
all is fair. All is fair in love and warfare. Is that no? I'm sorry. Mikey, what do you rank this thing?
Well, since I've seen this show before, knowing what is to come from the show and things that link to this season and to other seasons, I'd probably start this off with an 8. You know, it's a solid season. Like I said, it just feels like Star Wars. It feels like I'm watching Star Wars. And I love that. That's all I'm asking for. As long as I think I'm in the Star Wars universe and nothing is like taking me out of the show, that's a solid season. 8. I think that's a fair score.
Well said. I love to hear it. Rex, what do you give this bad boy?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I was pretty close to giving it 8. But yeah, I was pretty impressed. It starts a little slow, like I said, but not many cartoons can grab my attention and hold it like Rebels does. So, and I've also heard many good things. One of my friends said that season 1, isn't that great, and the rest is good. So I think we have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great start, and I'm hyped for the rest.
Well said. You're going low. You're going lower than everybody else. So you think you're somebody? You're just a wannabe.
You think you're better than us?
You think you're better than you think
Just
your
a wannabe
freaking
critic.
you think your freaking opinion matters more than us? God, I hate you. No, thank you. I'm gonna have to go with Caleb on this one. 8.5 for me. I think for me, there's just enough here to where it does definitely feel like a kid's show. It feels like a kid's show more than it actually feels like it's meant for me, which is fine. I think that's what it's supposed to do. But I also think that it's also above average in terms of storytelling and, Star Wars ability. So I'm going to have to go 8.5 because I think this is some of the best, this is one of the best season 1s of television, especially a kid's show that I've ever seen. But it's misleading because on the surface, it doesn't really feel that way. You know what I mean? What are you doing, Mike? You slapping me through the air?
No,
What?
I was misleading you.
I see what you mean. See, I fell for it every time. Because I remember going to the store, because I think the show started, in 2014, right? I remember going to the store and seeing the box for Rebels, and I saw his gun lightsaber on the cover, and I was like, that's the stupidest freaking thing I've ever seen, and just thinking from the outside, like, that's just a gimmick, like, the show's never going to happen, like, people aren't going to watch this, like, it's stupid, whatever. And then
Some Star Wars snob.
yeah, exactly. Well, and then I hear Maestri talking about it. He's like, he's talking to Ryan. He's like, hey, did you finish Rebels yet? And I'm like, Star Wars Rebels? Excuse me? And he goes, well, yeah. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, that's stupid. And that was like 4 years ago, And here I am watching it the first season because I should have jumped on board in the beginning. And here we are talking about it. So I think there's solid scores all around from all of us, fair scores, fair criticisms, fair high points. It's just all around. I'm really happy with your guys' thoughts. No one pissed me off today. So That's always a good day. And nobody, Mikey, guys, if we could round of applause right now, I would. Mikey didn't naysay. The
I think
whole
that's the first episode ever.
The whole episode. Oh my God.
I think it's between this one and the Hobbs and Shaw episode that we did.
Yeah. That's like the same vibes, same energy that we're bringing. And
I was
you know
thinking
what
more
it is?
Spider-Man 1.
You know what it is he actually freaking finished a project. Like, he finished a show, so he was like, oh yeah, maybe this is great. He had stuff to say since he finished it.
Since he actually watched it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I jest. But no, good episode, guys. I'm really happy with the way that turned out, and I'm excited to wrap the show up and do our next show. This is obviously pre-recorded. Before we wrap it up today, I wanted to let you know about popcultusa.com. They sent me a new hat. It's a Miller High Life hat, which Mikey says he likes better than the Natural Light hat, which is fine. But I like them both the same. Also, we have a new we have a new we have a new sponsor for the show. Raise Energy. You can this is a flag can. It's called Apollo. It's pretty good. You have zero sugar, zero crash. They have a lot of different products. They do protein powder, and they actually have a sleep formula, which I haven't tried yet, but it looks pretty cool. Really good drink.
Are they in stores or are they just online?
Yeah, so you can buy them at GNC, any GNC, they'll have them available for you. But if you want to get a discount on both of these products that I just talked to you about, Pop Cult USA, buying, dope fandom merch of your choice, you're going to want to use the code _wannabecritic, and you'll get 15% off your order. I'm sorry, you'll get 30% off your order at Pop Cult, and you'll get 15% off your order of Raise Energy. So get you some Raise. It's really, really good. And, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's fairly priced, especially with that discount code. So, gentlemen, let's go ahead and sign off. Oh, yeah, thank you. Rex is reminding me. We also, wannabecritic.com. If you go to our website, we have a bunch of dope merch for our stuff as well. We have the Founders Edition hoodie using the, if Rex, you want to model that for a second, show the good people what they can find. We have the original OG Geekly Biweekly logo. But then if you flip around, go ahead. Yeah, put it on. You got the stinking wannabe symbol. You know what I mean? You got the critic symbol. That's what that means in, in that language is critic. So there you go. That's why there's parentheses there. So go ahead.
What language is that?
I believe it is
Klingon.
No, it's not Klingon. I believe it's Japanese. So there you go.
Are you serious right now?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Klingon?
No, Klingon. Who said that?
Caleb said
Oh my
Klingon.
God, Caleb, you're offensive.
Get out of here, Caleb.
Anyways, okay, this is going off the rails. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We definitely appreciate it. Gentlemen, if you want to plug your stuff now at the time, where can people find you? Caleb, go ahead.
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ChiefNNY18. So you can hit me up there if you want to.
There you go. And Mikey, do you want to be found? Are you trying to stay off the radar, or how's that going?
I mean, you can find me on podcasts from time to time on here, and I'm also on Age of Geek sometimes, but social media and email, not yet. I'm thinking about getting an email, so if anybody really wants to contact me, they can, but I mean, nobody ever will. So,
Do you not have an email in the year 2020?
Not
He
that
has
I'm
email.
proud of giving out, so no. I'm going to make a different email and make
just
it
for podcast inquiries.
Yes.
Just for questions.
Can we hear it?
I don't have one yet, Rex. I just said
Off
that.
mic.
God.
Off mic.
No, I want to hear the other one.
Don't
my
press the
other one?
subject, Rex. I'm trying to sign off the show. Who do you think you are?
Sorry.
God. Rex, do you want people to be able to find you? Where can people find you?
No, moving on.
All right.
I'm sorry. Mikey, ease up. God, we were never this hard on you.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Rex90, WRECKS90, and I also have an Instagram, and I don't know what the handle is for that. So I think it's the same.
Yeah, basically, if you wanna find Rex, all you gotta do is come to the Wannabe Critic Productions on Twitter or anywhere else. The Wannabe Critic. If you want to get in touch with anyone, you can also go through me. You know what I mean? That's fine too. Also, you can find Rex on a little segment we do called the Midnight Run, the 12th of every month. We're wrapping up Samurai Jack soon. I'm sad. I'm excited, but I'm sad because it's been a journey. You know what I mean? Like your podcasting chops have come from the Midnight Run. So proud of you.
Exactly. I'm pretty excited though.
Yeah, I am too. We're gonna get into that later. So, Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great episode. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for putting up with us. We appreciate it. And thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Adios, amigos.
Bye. Cook's better.
Whatever possessed you to check out the podcast or the YouTube channel today, I just want to say thank you so much for doing so. If this is your first time here, I would appreciate it, if you would consider subscribing. As you can tell, it's not just me here anymore. I mean, I do stuff by myself, but the podcast is going to reside here from now on, in video form. So if you want to see more content, if you want to be notified, every time we post something, whether it be a clip, a podcast, a review, an interview, whatever it may be, if it's gaming stuff, make sure you click that bell and hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. Thanks for sticking around, and thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. I'm Gabriel Fast. I will always be the Wannabe Critic.